A Streetcar Named Marge is such a brilliant episode of The Simpsons. I absolutely love it. It's the second episode of the fourth season, directed by Rich Moore, released originally in October 1992. And I have to say, I feel like one of the reasons I love it is because I've seen A Streetcar Named Desire, and I have those reference points. I'm wondering how I felt the first time I saw this, because the first time I saw this I wouldn't have seen Streetcar. I'm assuming. I can't remember the first time I saw it. But I wonder if you get a very different experience if you don't have those reference points. But at the same time, you can still follow the narrative. You don't need to have seen it. Because you get a general idea of Blanche Dubois and what the character is like and what Marge is going through at the same time. So you don't need to have seen it, but if you haven't seen it or haven't read it, and you like this episode, give it a read or a watch, and then watch the episode again and see how you feel. Of course, Marge is playing in Streetcar Named Desire, and I absolutely love the audition scene. The audition where everybody, Chief Wiggum and various other people are there auditioning for these roles. And of course, Ned Flanders is there, who gets a role alongside Marge, and she spends a lot of time with Ned, and she's starting to see contrasts and similarities between the play and her character and what her life is like with Homer, who does not care, or does not seem to care about the fact that Marge is in a play. He's got no interest in really supporting her. And to be honest, this is one of the first times when I genuinely got really annoyed at Homer, because usually his flippant attitude is excusable because he's just sidetracked, or, you know, he's just not that interested in things. But he really didn't make any effort to support his wife here. And this is really one of the very few times where I genuinely was disgusted at Homer. Normally I can brush off his behaviour as just being part of who he is. But I can really understand why Marge reacted the way she did, because Homer's behaviour was despicable. This sentence isn't working. Not that there are not lessons to be learned, and not that Homer doesn't learn lessons, but I still became very annoyed. I particularly loved the rehearsal scenes. Obviously, being a fan of the theatre, that's something that I enjoyed a lot. And it's just all round a really entertaining episode that I found to be delightful. Of course, we have a subplot with Maggie, who is going to daycare, and things don't necessarily go to plan for Maggie. Things aren't straightforward for her there. And I love it, as I've mentioned before, when Maggie has a little bit of airtime and actually stories revolve around her rather than her just being a passive character who's in a chair or on Marge's hip or crawling around in front of the television. So I really enjoyed Maggie in this, but I think Marge, well, definitely Marge was the star of the show. Loved her performance as Blanche. Loved the character in this. Really thoroughly enjoyed it. I definitely think A Streetcar Named Marge is one of my favourite episodes.